My parents forced me out of the family business after 18 years of building it with them. Huge mistake. "You're incompetent," my dad said across the dinner table, his voice cold and final. "You've only gotten this far because of family." My mom didn't even look at me when she added, "It's time for someone else to take over." My younger brother smirked. "Yeah, sis. You've been bleeding the company dry for years." They slid a resignation letter toward me and said, "Sign it, or we'll terminate you with nothing." They called it voluntary. But I knew exactly what it was: a forced resignation, plain and simple. A way to push me out without paying what they legally owed. I stayed calm. "Okay," I said. "I'll resign. But I'll write it myself." I typed one single sentence. 1 week later, my phone rang at 8:12 a.m. Unknown number. "Miss Brooks. This is Alan Fletcher, the family attorney," he said, voice tight but professional. "We need to clarify the precise language in your resignation letter, specifically the part about it being effective only upon full settlement of all agreements." I didn't explain a thing. "You'll figure it out," I said. Dead silence on the line for a long moment. Then he cleared his throat and hung up. Before I tell you the rest, please subscribe to the channel and comment the city you're watching from. I want to see just how far this story reaches. But to understand why I stayed so calm while my own parents and brother were saying those things to my face. My name is Valerie Brooks, and I'm 42 years old. I grew up surrounded by the smell of fresh-cut wood and the constant hum of saws in Grand Rapids, Michigan. That city has long been known as the center of American furniture manufacturing, and at its heart was Brooks Fine Furniture, the company my father, Gregory Brooks, founded in 1995. He started small, a single workshop with a handful of employees, and focused on one thing: crafting high-quality, hand-built hardwood furniture designed to last for decades. No cheap materials, no mass production shortcuts, just solid construction and attention to detail. I started working there part-time while I was still in college. Weekends, holidays, summer breaks. I was in the shop learning every stage of the process from the very beginning. I learned how to evaluate raw lumber for defects, how to cut and join pieces so they remained strong over time, how to sand surfaces smooth enough for a flawless finish, and how to apply layers that protected the wood while enhancing its natural grain. Those early years gave me a foundation no classroom could match. When I graduated in 2008 with a degree in supply chain management from Western Michigan University, I joined full-time, without hesitation. The company was still relatively small, then around 25 employees, one main production building and a basic showroom attached to the workshop. My starting role was operations coordinator, but the title didn't mean much. I handled production scheduling, tracked incoming materials, oversaw quality checks, coordinated shipping, and jumped in wherever help was needed. Over the next 18 years, I built my role into something indispensable. The first pillar of my contribution was deep production knowledge. I became the go-to person for every technical detail on the floor. Our craftsmen trusted me because I could work alongside them at any station operating machinery for precise dovetails, adjusting routers for custom profiles, or hand-applying finishes that required exact timing and technique. I memorized every proprietary method we developed, from our unique aging process that gave cherry wood a rich patina to the specific blend of oils we used for water resistance. If a batch showed even minor cracking after delivery, I could trace it back to humidity levels during curing and adjust the protocol immediately. No one else in the company had that level of hands-on mastery. The second pillar was client relationships. Early in my full-time years, I took over vendor and customer management. I attended industry trade shows, met buyers from national chains, and started bringing in bigger accounts. I secured our first major contract with a high-end retailer that became one of our largest ongoing clients. From there, I expanded the network luxury boutiques in major cities' hotel chains, needing custom lobby pieces, designers specifying our collections for upscale residential projects. Those relationships weren't based on price alone. They were built on trust. Clients knew that when they placed an order with us, I would personally ensure it met specifications, arrived on schedule, and exceeded expectations. Many of them dealt directly with me for years, bypassing sales reps entirely. I negotiated multi-year agreements that provided steady revenue and protected us from market swings. Those contracts formed the backbone of our growth. The third pillar was ownership. My parents had structured the business with a family shareholder agreement from the start. It was clear and legal. Continued employment and meeting annual performance goals earned me additional equity each year. It wasn't favoritism, it was documented compensation for my contributions. By my mid-30s, I had accumulated a significant stake enough to give me real influence and financial tie to the company's success. My father always called it fair recognition for the long hours and dedication I had shown since college. Those shares carried specific protections, including provisions for what happened in the event of major control changes. My track record spoke for itself. Performance reviews were consistently outstanding. I received internal awards for operational efficiency and client retention. There was never a single disciplinary issue in my file. During tough periods like supply shortages after global disruptions, I kept production running by finding alternative sources and redesigning workflows without sacrificing quality. Competitors struggled. We gained market share. I became the institutional memory of the company. New hires learned our standards from me. When accounting needed historical cost data for pricing adjustments, I provided it. When sales pitched a custom line, they relied on me to confirm feasibility and timelines. Most employees hired in the last decade had come on board under my oversight, and they saw me as the steady hand guiding day-to-day operations. The company grew steadily because of these three pillars: unmatched production expertise, strong client loyalty built over years, and my substantial legal ownership. Revenue climbed year after year, facilities expanded, and the Brooks name became synonymous with reliable premium craftsmanship. Everything felt secure for a long time. The business was thriving, my position was solid, and the path forward seemed clear. Things only started shifting about 4 years ago when my parents began talking more seriously about retirement. My parents announced they would hand over the company to the family member most suited to lead it. At first, the statement sounded fair. My father had built the business from nothing, and my mother had supported him every step of the way. They were in their late 60s by then and starting to slow down. Talk of retirement came up more often: long vacations they wanted to take, winters in warmer places, time with grandchildren they hoped would arrive soon. They framed the succession as a merit-based decision. Whoever proved ready would take the reins. I assumed that meant me. I had been there longest, handled the most critical areas, and delivered consistent results. But as the months passed, a pattern emerged that made everything clearer. They began investing heavily in my younger brother, Travis Brooks. He was 35, 7 years younger than me, and had only joined the company full-time about 7 years earlier. Before that, he had drifted through a few sales jobs in other industries, nothing tied to furniture or manufacturing. Suddenly, my parents decided he needed formal training. They paid for an executive MBA program, one of those accelerated courses designed for working professionals. Travis took classes on weekends and evenings, came home excited about case studies and strategy frameworks, and my parents praised every small achievement. Whenever he finished a module or presented a group project, they made a point of telling everyone at family gatherings how sharp he was becoming. My father would say things like, "Travis really understands modern business thinking," or "He's bringing fresh ideas we need for the next phase." My mother echoed the same lines, beaming whenever his name came up. Meanwhile, my own contributions rarely got the same spotlight. If I closed a difficult order or resolved a production bottleneck, the response was polite acknowledgement at best. The conversation shifted quickly back to Travis, his latest class, his networking events, his vision for expanding online sales. It became routine. Sunday dinners turned into updates on his progress, with my parents hanging on every detail. They started giving him visible responsibilities that played to his strengths and avoided his weaknesses. He handled customer visits at trade shows, met with sales reps, and pitched new product lines to smaller accounts. These were safer roles, no deep involvement in the complexities of production scheduling or supply negotiations. When he landed a modest new dealer, my parents celebrated it like a major victory, inviting the whole family to toast his success. At the same time, they began consulting him on decisions that used to come to me automatically. My father would call Travis into his office for discussions about pricing strategy or marketing budgets. Afterward, Travis would relay the outcome to me casually, as if it were normal. My mother started forwarding him emails from long-term suppliers asking for his input before looping me in. The imbalance grew more obvious during family events. Birthdays, holidays, even casual barbecues became platforms for highlighting Travis. My parents would steer conversations toward his ideas for the company's future digital marketing partnerships, with influencers opening a flagship store in a trendier location. They spoke about these plans as if they were already decided with Travis at the center. I watched the dynamic shift in real time. My father, who once relied on my judgment for operational calls, now deferred to Travis on broader direction. My mother, always the peacemaker, smoothed over any questions by saying Travis brought the energy they needed as they stepped back. They weren't choosing the person with the most experience or proven track record. They were choosing the child who made retirement feel easiest, the one who wouldn't challenge their lingering influence, who shared their excitement about stepping away without worry. Travis picked up on the cues quickly. He started speaking with more authority in meetings, dropping phrases from his courses like disruptive innovation or scalability. My parents encouraged it, nodding along and repeating his points later as if they were gospel. If I offered a different perspective grounded in day-to-day realities, the room went quiet, or the topic changed. The favoritism wasn't hidden. Extended family noticed. My aunt would pull me aside after dinners and ask quietly if everything was okay. Employees picked up on it too. Suddenly, Travis was invited to strategy sessions that previously didn't include him. My parents justified it by saying they wanted both of us prepared, but the investment of time, money, and praise told a different story. I felt the ground shifting under me. Years of dedication were being reframed as routine, while Travis's newer involvement was treated as transformative. The message became unmistakable: my role was replaceable. His was the future. The unease settled in gradually. I still performed at the same level, but the recognition tilted entirely toward him. Family conversations revolved around his schedule, his opinions, his potential. My parents spoke about retirement with growing confidence, as if handing over to Travis removed any lingering concerns about the company's stability. They weren't angry with me. They weren't cutting me out completely, not yet. They simply preferred the path that let them walk away feeling secure with their son at the helm, carrying forward the name in a way that matched their vision of ease and continuity. The pattern repeated over those 4 years. Every milestone for Travis became a family celebration. Every routine success of mine passed with minimal comment. The succession plan they described as merit-based revealed itself as something else entirely. Then the actual changes started coming little by little in ways I could no longer ignore. It started with small things like no longer being invited to meetings with major clients. Those sessions used to be routine for me. I would prepare the agendas, review production capacities, and lead discussions on custom orders. Suddenly, the calendar invites stopped coming. When I asked my father about it, he waved it off casually. Travis is handling that one. He's building relationships now. One by one, core responsibilities shifted. Oversight of inventory planning moved to a new manager Travis had recruited from outside. Quality assurance reports that once landed on my desk first began routing directly to him. Purchasing decisions for raw materials, which I had managed for years, required his approval before final sign-off. The changes accumulated quietly. Weekly leadership meetings shortened my updates while extending time for Travis to present his sales pipelines. My parents attended most of them and nodded along as he spoke, rarely asking follow-up questions of me. If I raised concerns about potential delays in upcoming orders, the response was mild reassurance that things would work out. Public doubt crept in during combined family and business gatherings. At one dinner, my mother mentioned a recent client complaint about delivery timing. Before I could explain the supply issue and the fix already in place, Travis jumped in with suggestions for restructuring logistics. My father agreed immediately, saying it sounded proactive. My input on why the current system functioned well under normal conditions went unaddressed. Similar moments repeated. Travis would offer opinions on areas outside his direct experience, and my parents accepted them without pushback. If I pointed out practical limitations, the conversation pivoted away. Over time, the pattern solidified. My expertise was acknowledged in passing, but his ideas carried more weight. Staff noticed the shift too. Long-term employees who reported to me started checking with Travis on certain decisions. New hires oriented toward him from day one. When performance reviews came around, feedback forms included comments about needing to align more with the new direction. The exclusions became more direct. I was removed from email threads with key suppliers I had nurtured for over a decade. Budget approvals for operational improvements I proposed sat unanswered for weeks, while requests from Travis moved quickly. My father explained it as delegation, preparing for his reduced involvement. The message was consistent. My role was being diminished piece by piece, redefined as support rather than leadership. Input that once shaped outcomes now served as background reference. Travis occupied center stage, backed fully by my parents. I kept performing at the same level. Deadlines met, issues resolved, revenue targets hit. But the recognition flowed elsewhere. The erosion felt deliberate, designed to make my position feel less essential. Around this time, I decided to protect myself. I reached out discreetly to Diane Russell, an employment attorney recommended by a contact outside the company. We met for an initial consultation over coffee away from Grand Rapids. She listened carefully as I described the pattern without naming emotions. When I finished, her advice was straightforward. Nothing illegal yet, but patterns like this can escalate. If things worsen, you'll need evidence. Start documenting everything: emails, meeting notes, decisions, approvals. Keep copies off company systems. I took the counsel seriously. That evening, I set up a personal cloud drive with strong encryption. Every relevant message, every forwarded chain, every calendar change, I saved it. Meeting minutes from leadership sessions went in immediately after. Performance data, client correspondence, budget documents, all backed up regularly. The process became habit. After each shift in responsibility, I noted the date and context. When approvals bypassed me, I screenshot the threads. I organized folders by category: personnel changes, client communications, financial decisions. Nothing dramatic, just methodical records. Diane checked in occasionally by email. Her updates remained measured. Keep collecting. Solid documentation is your strongest asset if push comes to shove. No predictions, no alarm, just emphasis on preparation. The exclusions continued. A major retailer requested a factory tour and specifically asked for me by name. The visit was scheduled, but Travis let it. My parents attended and introduced him as the future face of operations. I stayed back at the office handling routine tasks. Feedback from that tour came to Travis first. Positive notes went to him. Minor suggestions for improvement landed in my inbox without context. The client relationship I had maintained for years began rerouting through him. I documented it all. The habit provided a sense of control amid the gradual sidelining. My work remained excellent, files stayed impeccable, but the writing on the wall grew clearer. The marginalization accelerated in small increments. Input requested less often. Decisions announced after the fact. Praise directed elsewhere. The company functioned smoothly on systems I had built, yet my visibility diminished steadily. Diane's words echoed. Evidence mattered. I expanded the backups to include org charts, as they evolved role descriptions, as they changed hands, even casual notes from family discussions that touched on business. The collection grew substantial, organized, and time-stamped. It wasn't about confrontation yet, just insurance against whatever came next. And then everything truly worsened on one Friday evening I will never forget. I drove to my parents' house that evening thinking it was just a regular family dinner. The table was set nicely when I arrived. My father sat at the head, my mother beside him. Travis was already there, leaning back in his chair. My Aunt Karen, who handles HR for the company, was also present, a folder in front of her. We ate in near silence at first. Small talk about the weather, a neighbor's new car. Then my father cleared his throat. "We need to discuss the future of the business," he said. My mother nodded. "It's time to make some changes official." Karen opened the folder and slid a document across the table toward me. It was a pre-drafted resignation letter on company letterhead. "We've decided Travis will take full leadership now," my father continued. "You've done a lot over the years, but the company needs new energy moving forward." Travis spoke up. "You've had your run, sis. It's my turn." My mother added quietly, "This is best for everyone. We want a smooth transition as we step back." Karen spoke next, her tone formal and procedural. "The letter states you're resigning voluntarily, effective immediately. In return, you'll receive 3 months severance and continued health benefits for that period. A neutral reference will be provided. It's a clean break." I looked at the page. The language released the company from any claims related to employment or separation. My father leaned forward. "Sign it tonight and we keep this amicable. Refuse, and we'll have to terminate for restructuring reasons. No severance, no benefits payout." Travis smirked again. "Come on, don't make this harder than it needs to be." The words hit like repeated blows. Incompetent. Riding family coattails. Bleeding the company. The same phrases they had used before, now delivered without hesitation in front of Karen. They presented it as choice, but the options were clear. Accept the small package or leave with nothing. It wasn't voluntary. It was coercion, dressed as generosity. I felt the weight of the room, my own family aligned against me, ready to sever ties over a signature. I kept my voice steady. "I'll resign," I said, "but I want to write the letter myself." My father frowned slightly. "We've already prepared one that covers everything legally." Karen nodded. "It's standard language." "I understand," I replied. "Still, I'd prefer my own wording." Travis rolled his eyes. "Fine, whatever. Just get it done." My parents exchanged glances. My father shrugged. "As long as it's clear you're stepping down immediately, we need this wrapped up tonight." I pulled out my phone, opened a blank document, and typed one carefully crafted sentence I had prepared months earlier with professional review. "I hereby resign my position as Vice President of Operations at Brooks Fine Furniture, effective upon full and final settlement of all accrued compensation bonuses, equity vesting, severance entitlements, and any other amounts owed to me under my employment agreements, shareholder documents, and applicable law." I read it once more, signed it digitally, printed a copy on the home printer my parents kept in the study, and handed it across the table. My father skimmed it quickly. "Looks acceptable," he said, passing it to Karen. She glanced over the single line. "It states resignation." "That's the key part." Travis barely looked. "Great. We're done here." None of them paused on the conditional phrasing. They saw the word resign and assumed victory. Karen tucked the letter into her folder. "We'll process the severance as discussed." My mother offered a tight smile. "This will be better for all of us." The conversation shifted to lighter topics, plans for the weekend, a cousin's upcoming wedding, as if the matter was settled. I finished dinner, quietly helped clear plates out of habit, then said goodnight. I drove home that night and sat waiting to see how they would react. A week passed quietly, then my phone rang early one morning. The screen showed an unfamiliar local number. I answered. Miss Brooks. This is Alan Fletcher calling on behalf of your family and the company, he said, voice measured and professional. I'm reviewing the resignation letter you submitted. There's some language that requires clarification before we can process it. I waited. He continued. Specifically, the clause making it effective only upon full settlement of all agreements. Could you explain your intent? I spoke calmly. Certainly. It means exactly what it says. My resignation takes effect only after I receive complete payment of everything owed, accrued salary bonuses, full equity, vesting severance, under the change of control provisions in the shareholder agreement, and any other entitlements required by law. Until that full settlement is made, I remain an employee and shareholder with all associated rights and benefits. Silence stretched on the line. I went on. The shareholder agreement signed years ago includes accelerated vesting and severance triggers when control shifts significantly, which has happened now that leadership is transferring to Travis. Performance bonuses tied to revenue targets I met are also payable upon separation. Michigan law supports enforcement of these written terms. More silence. Then I added the breakdown I had prepared. Base pay through the date of the letter, accrued vacation, outstanding expenses, the annual bonus for the current year prorated based on company performance I directly influenced, full vesting of my equity share valued at current company appraisal, severance equivalent to 18 months' salary plus continued benefits as outlined in the succession protections. Total comes to $1,820,000 plus legal fees if we need to involve courts. Alan cleared his throat. That figure is substantially higher than the 3 months discussed. It's what the contracts require, I replied. You accepted the letter. The condition is now binding. He paused again. I'll need to review this with your parents and Travis. We may have questions. I'm available, I said. He ended the call abruptly. The next few days brought no contact. I continued working remotely, accessing systems as usual, since nothing had been revoked yet. Emails still flowed, schedules remained active. Then Alan called again 4 days later. Miss Brooks, he started, tone less composed. Your family disputes several of these claims. They believe the resignation was unconditional and the severance offer was generous. I responded evenly. The signed letter states otherwise. It was reviewed by multiple people that night and accepted. He tried another angle. Pursuing this could damage relationships permanently. A compromise might serve everyone better. My position isn't about damage, I said. It's about enforcing written agreements. He pressed. They're prepared to offer 6 months severance and partial bonus payout to resolve this amicably. That falls far short, I answered. The documents are clear. The calls escalated in frequency. Alan relayed messages from my parents, disappointment, frustration, appeals to family loyalty. Travis got on one call directly, voice raised. You're holding the company hostage over wording, he demanded. No, I said. You're facing consequences for not reading carefully. My father joined another conversation, sounding weary. Valerie, think about what this does to all of us. Just take the original offer and move on. I held firm. The offer doesn't match what's owed. My mother tried separately, voice softer. We never meant for it to come to this. Can't we find middle ground? Diane reviewed every exchange, advising me to stay factual and documented. Alan's tone shifted over the weeks. Early confidence gave way to urgency. He began acknowledging specific clauses. The vesting acceleration does appear triggered while still pushing lower numbers. They countered with 9 months' pay and half the equity value. I declined. Then 12 months plus full bonus but no vesting. Declined again. Each refusal prompted longer pauses, consultations I could hear in background murmurs. One evening call included all of them on speaker. Travis accused me of greed. My father warned about legal costs. My mother pleaded for peace. I repeated the same points: contracts, accepted letter, enforceable terms. Alan interrupted the family at one point. She's correct on the key provisions. Fighting this risks more exposure. The panic became palpable. Offers climbed 15 months, then full severance with partial vesting. Still short. Diane sent formal demand letters outlining case law on conditional resignations and shareholder rights in closely held companies. The final counter came after 3 weeks of back and forth. Alan called alone. "We're prepared to meet the full amount," he said, voice flat. $1,820,000 wired within 10 business days, plus your documented legal fees, in exchange for a mutual release and confidentiality. I confirm the terms match the contracts. He added, "Your family hopes this ends, matters cleanly." I agreed to the settlement. After several tense weeks of negotiation, the money finally arrived in my account. The day the wire transfer arrived in full, along with Diane's legal fees covered, I didn't feel any sense of victory. I sat at my kitchen table staring at the bank notification. The amount matched every penny outlined in the agreements. The settlement release was signed by all parties. My resignation became official the moment the funds cleared. I blocked the family phone numbers that same afternoon. No dramatic messages, no explanations, just silence. Emails from my parents went unread and archived. Travis tried reaching out once through a mutual cousin. I didn't respond. The cutoff was complete. No holidays, no updates, no contact. The people who raised me became strangers by choice mine this time. In the months that followed, news about the company reached me through industry channels and former colleagues who still checked in occasionally. The first major contract loss came about 4 months later. A long-standing national retailer decided not to renew. They cited inconsistent communication and missed customization details that had never been an issue before. Travis handled the account personally by then, but the relationship had always rested on trust, built over years, trust tied to my direct involvement. Other clients followed gradually. A luxury chain in the Midwest reduced orders, mentioning quality variations in recent shipments. Resorts that relied on seasonal collections delayed commitments, waiting for assurance on timelines they once took for granted. Production challenges surfaced too. Delays in material sourcing led to late deliveries. Finish inconsistencies appeared in pieces that reached showrooms. Employees who messaged me privately described confusion over standards that used to be second nature. Travis pushed new initiatives online, direct sales influencer partnerships, faster turnaround promises. Some gained temporary attention, but core clients wanted reliability over flash. Revenue dipped quarter by quarter. By the end of the first year, the decline was unmistakable. Several key craftsmen retired or left for competitors. Suppliers tightened credit terms after late payments. The company that once grew steadily now fought to hold ground. My parents postponed retirement plans indefinitely. The freedom they sought evaporated as they stepped back into steady operations. Travis worked longer hours, but gaps in institutional knowledge widened. I followed none of it closely. Occasional updates came unasked: industry reports, mutual acquaintances mentioning struggles. I acknowledged them without engagement. I moved forward on my own terms. Consulting work started small, helping other manufacturers streamline processes, advising on contracts for family-run businesses. Rates reflected my experience. Clients valued straightforward guidance without emotional baggage. Life simplified. No family obligations, no expectations tied to blood. Decisions rested solely on what served me. The settlement provided security. Investments grew quietly. I relocated to a smaller place outside the city, closer to lakes and quieter streets. I never regretted the silence. Attempts at reconciliation came once or twice, brief emails from my mother expressing sadness. A voicemail from my father suggesting coffee. I left them unanswered. The company continued sliding. Market share eroded further as competitors filled voids. The Brooks name lost some of its former weight in Grand Rapids circles. I learned a clear lesson from the entire experience. In family business, affection doesn't replace clear paperwork. Assumptions about loyalty can cost everything. Document rights early, enforce them without hesitation when necessary, and accept that protecting yourself sometimes means walking away completely, even from the people closest to you. That's the reality I live with now. Cold, perhaps.